you doing? What's Up Brody was created as a safe space for the 12 million strong live entertainment and theatrical professionals. Peace, everyone, and we are back with What's Up, Brody? How you doing? For an all-new season. I am Noelle Jordan, creator and executive producer for What's Up, Brody? How you doing? It is great to be back. I am a live event and touring stage manager, lighting designer, and backline technician. What's Up, Brody was created as a safe space for the million strong live entertainment and theatrical professionals. Throughout season 3, we will be focusing on equity, not only for Brodies and techs, but for entertainers, musicians, engineers, and content creators, and so much more. Today, we are joined by an amazing panel as well as our live entertainment mental health advocate. I encourage everyone here to engage in the live chat here on the What's Up, Brody? How you doing? YouTube and Facebook live pages. This season, we're talking about equity or the lack thereof. So I am your moderator for today's episode. Hey, everyone.
Hey.
How you doing? How y'all doing?
What's up? What's up?
How are you?
Hey.
So on our panel today, we have a little nervous on the first episode. Singer and songwriter YahZarah, production company owner and DJ Michael John with Media Minds, and multi-talented musician, actor, and entrepreneur Calvin WInbush. Our mental health advocate is Miesha Rice with Whole Family Healing Group. So how are you guys doing?
Doing great.
First and foremost, how is everyone doing?
Pretty good, honestly. You know, all things considered, it was definitely a wacky last 14 months or so. I'm thankful to be alive and to have survived it. But all in all, man, it's been good. Like, there's a lot of things that maybe aren't going as well, but there's so many things that are currently going well and on the horizons of even getting better. So I can't complain. Man.
I would dovetail with Calvin on that. You know, I'm actually about to have a birthday, and of course, a birthday feels really different once you've survived COVID, which I have.
Happy
I
birthday!
Granddaddy version. So having another birthday hits a little different this year, and you know, all the things that I know that we've learned over the last 14 months. You know, I've digested them, and they've just made me a better artist. So I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Yes. So I know I mentioned, so this episode, really the season, we're focusing on equity. Equity is defined as the state, quality, or ideal of being just, impartial, and fair. The concept of equity is synonymous with fairness and justice. And to be achieved and sustained, equity needs to be thought of as a structural and systemic concept. So I want to know, what does equity mean to you in your respective fields?
Well, yeah, might as well. So to me, it's funny. I was telling y'all before we got started, like I literally just released this music video, Black, yesterday. On the chorus, it says, you know, give me equity, especially you really trying to run it up. And it's just like kind of the change between going from speaking about entertainment as far as like, okay, a paycheck, or like, okay, let me be a percentage partner in that thing that I'm doing. Okay, because like, you know, if I do a job and I get paid for it, that's cool. But being that a lot of times, you know, the creator, and especially the Black creator, has a lot to do with the overall product. It's like, well, okay, a paycheck is cool, but having equity and stake in something to where, you know, I actually and now part of the production or part of just thinking about things on a bigger scale, because it can't be the same thing that we've done for the last 100 years. It has to be like, all right, we understand the rates, we understand the breakdowns in the back end now, and so we're now making that a condition of our contribution to your production and everything. It's not you just swooping in, handing out paychecks, and that's it, but then you kind of own the intellectual property and the permission of this thing. It's like, well, no, if you want to do business with me, I want to have a percentage in it. If you believe in me so much and I believe in it, well, let's make it an actual partnership and actually be partners, not just be somebody who's giving me a paycheck, which is nice, but that's not like ultimately. I think that we've learned better and everything. Like having
Understood.
people like Beyonce and whatnot take percentages instead of paychecks, it really gets you to start thinking. So
Okay. YahZarah, how is it for you? Yeah, how is it for you as far as equity goes?
Well, I've always been about equity from my very beginning. I think as an independent artist, to be an independent artist, all you have is equity. The long game has basically been how I've run my career. If a producer works with me on an album, we share the publishing, we share everything. It gives the opportunity for me not just to be a singer who's, they've landed a track on, but also now they can take ownership of this piece of music and promote it the same. It actually allows people to almost take a community approach to this thing that they created together. That at one point was simply for you, but now it becomes for us all.
Mhm.
And so I've kind of just continued to expand on that. Whenever I work with a photographer, it's the same thing because I do a lot of my own art direction. Do I give a photographer complete ownership of pictures that they take of me simply because of what their name is? But if I'm sitting for it and I'm doing artistic direction, then don't I deserve an artistic director credit and don't I deserve equity? So these conversations about equity are huge, and they don't just stop on the stage. For the performer, they are in everything from your image to the piece of music that you're making. And for me, I have a 9-year-old son. I'm thinking about the long game, about what he and my grandchildren inherit. And for a long time, I used to just make music for the love. I wouldn't, I've been on projects with lots of different people that I had, because I was so young, no equity, and I was afraid to ask for what I was worth. So equity for me is not being afraid of saying when what you bring into a situation is a little bit more than what you were called to do. I had a situation that just happened with me in a film that I'm about to do in September called Protector of the Gods. I got cast as a main supporting character. I ended up working with the director and all of a sudden helping him with casting and everything from art direction again, and even assisting with some of the musical scoring. And he called me up one day and said, I don't know what you've been told about what it is that you do, but you're a producer. You create things. You're much more than an artist, and I want to give you a producer's credit on this film. So now not only am I, in this film, but now I have a producer's credit. And then I'm also going to have production credits on the score because somebody also thought to care to give me my equity. But also in most situations, I've always asked. I want to help. I'm here to help. I'm here to do above and beyond the call of duty. But what can we do so that my kids eat from this hard work I'm about to give you?
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Michael John, I want to know what are some key issues concerning equity within your fields? I know you're more on the outside of DJing, on the tech side and on the roadie side, having your own production company. So how is it? How is it for you, and what are you seeing?
Well, I like to address it from both ends. I think I bring a different perspective because again, I have a production company. We do regional and corporate events, in and around the Mid Atlantic. But also as a DJ, I've certainly toured with some of the biggest names in the game DJing, and when you put together a stage show with an artist, what does equity look like in terms of the DJ having some sort of stake in you know, the mechanical rights of the airing of that particular, show or use of that show over and over and over again. So if artists and I put together a show and then I move on to DJ for somebody else, but you're using that exact same show just with a different DJ. Don't I get a piece of that particular puzzle? Like, I mean, that's actually a current situation. Although I've not explored that conversation, it is a thought in my mind. Like, said artist and I did a show. We've been doing a show for years. And then, I'm not DJing for that artist at the moment, but they're taking the exact same show that we put together and they're doing the show just with a different DJ. How does that work, in relationship to how I grow? And I know that a good friend of mine, DJ Tay James, he's DJ for Justin Bieber from the very beginning. Now he's A&R'd the new Justin Bieber album. And, now, of course, he has equity in the project. He has points in the project. He produced from an executive level some of that project. So, of course, that project is going to, be a huge impact on his longevity, beyond DJing. But I'll say, having worked with Maya, Raheem, Jasmine Sullivan, Marsha, Mario, specifically with Raheem, I was with Raheem in the earlier parts of Jive Records, not really caring about his project. And we were putting together these mixtapes. And of course, everybody knows the Raheem mixtapes. YahZarah, where we had some of your records on the mixtapes. The mixtapes for Raheem basically cemented his stake in the game. And, what does that look like long term, for the next DJ Lil Michael, for the next Tay James, when the DJ knows what the people are gonna like? That's what we do as DJs. We know, you know, like as an organist in church, when it's about to go into a shout. You already know, like, hey man, get ready, we about to go there, and then you got people running up and down the aisles. So it's the same way a DJ knows what's hot and what's whack. Yeah, exactly. Yep. I mean, the groove inspiration, even. I hate to go, Pied Piper, but for real, the DJ is so much more than just a person who plays songs. The DJ is a curator of energy, if you will.
Yeah.
And if that person doesn't, so often the DJ is instrumental, but not instrumentally paid for the thing that they do. And same thing with the engineer. How many times you have the studio engineer who might get a point or two on a project, but does the live engineer get a point or two when you go to an Essence or you go to a big festival and they're creating that experience live for you? And of course, I'm gonna give you even a different experience. I'm in church the other day. I'm not going to name the church I work at, but I'm in church the other day. There's a front of house engineer. There's no monitor engineer, and then there is a broadcast engineer. I'm the broadcast engineer. If the front of house engineer is not there, I mix front of house. So I see how the spirit is moving in the house. I'm giving big verb, big delays. I'm just evoking a lot of emotion in the house.
Yeah.
And when they went to listen to the broadcast, it didn't sound the same. So you're trying to explain to people who aren't technical, well, why do I not feel the same energy on the broadcast? And again, there's a discrepancy there. But again, if you can evoke that emotion, don't you deserve a stake in the success of that, rather than, like you said, Calvin, rather than just a paycheck? But don't you, especially when people can go back and listen to that sermon or watch that concert, or I can watch the Bag Lady video and see YahZarah later on. These are things that I think that 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, we were young in the game. We weren't thinking long term, like all the things that we've done to bring us to this point. We could have been building blocks with these things in order to cement our stake in the game, and not just for ourselves, but posterity, for our children, for our families. Whereas, it's bigger than just, oh, look at this video. I was in that video. Oh yeah, I was in the studio and I did a little something, but I didn't get my credit. So I think that equity is not just for writers and performers and artistic directors, but DJs and engineers.
Can I step in on that too? Hearing you so loud and clear, Michael, on that. I did a tour with the artist that remain nameless. We spent weeks recording our own backgrounds. We toured for years with this artist, right? We never thought that we might lose our jobs. But the whole time we were recording, I'm saying to these women, I'm like, ain't nobody gonna ask, are we gonna get some publishing on this? Are we gonna get an additional pay rate for this? is that going to be reflected in what we make monthly, since we're not getting it a lump sum of some support?
Yep.
But everyone was afraid to ask because there's fear in asking, because there's always somebody extremely excited about taking your place in our line of work. It's not like becoming a doctor. It's not like being a surgeon or a teacher. You know, it's, you are leveraging your dream and your reputation upon being this thing with people who can make phone calls. So a lot of people are afraid to step up and ask for certain things because they're also scared to death of being blackballed. And what we really need is, we need unions. Now I know engineers have a union, singers don't. We literally have no backup whatsoever. You are a singer, you're at the mercy of whatever artist you are singing for at the moment. You ask too many questions. There is a young singer who may not be as great, but they'll take somebody who's not as great, who doesn't ask questions, and will take less than you.
Yeah.
So we also need backup for singers, for the voices in this. Because what happens when you get a vocal hemorrhage singing 17 shows for an artist who's going to be all right after you? You know, so I hear you loud and clear, but that's the, you know, what's the secret sauce at making all those things run together?
Yes. So I just want to touch on, I'll dip into like my background. I just want to say, just to give some more representation, as a lighting designer working in a venue on a house console, I can remember being one of, the few lighting designers at the venue, and then someone coming up to me, a fellow lighting designer, and it's like, "Can you delete my page? Delete my effects?"
Mm-hmm.
And at first, I was like, "How I'm gonna learn that?" 'Cause I would look at your effects, but I'm not going to copy them. I would open your effects and look at the parameters and see how you did this and work my way back. But not everyone thinks like that. They just feel, "Oh, well, it's already done for me, so I'll just copy and paste." But you're right. There's work that goes into those things. I mean, that's our creativity. So I just wanted to kudos to you guys, because I definitely feel the same exact way, and I do know that we don't ask about money,
Yeah. I
especially
mean,
when you're coming up. So
I think something too that, like, YahZarah said, it's like when you have kids, you start thinking about a lot of things differently and whatnot. Like I just, my baby girl about to turn 8 months in a couple of days and whatnot. So you do, it kind of expands your mindset. It's like, okay, well, hold up. Yeah, this is good for me, but my kids can't eat off of my nice smile and handshake that I'm doing today and everything. If this is something that's going to be, and like, look, I'm an actor and musician, so like, I don't even have it the worst. Like, there's a lot of people that, like dancers, my heart always goes out, because it's like after they're done dancing, it's like that's it. They give them a check, and that's it. Good luck with your needs.
that's real. That is real.
They just be off forever, and you don't see nothing from that. So things definitely have to change. Unions are big things that needs to be incorporated. Like, one of the best things that happened to me as a musician is that I started acting, because I saw how actors were getting. I was like, oh, hey, I see why musicians and music gets just taken over, because there's no checks and balances. Like, there's been times as an actor where I was owed money from different production companies, and the union took a little bit, but they got me my money. And music, good luck. You basically got to know somebody that's going to go down to an office and threaten to beat somebody up. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to get some feedback from Miesha Rice, our mental health advocate. I want to know, like, how important do you feel that mental health is to the live entertainment industry?
It's extremely important, especially with all of the things that these entertainers have described, like things that people go through behind the scenes, the things that you have to endure. People don't really understand that. And sometimes it can play on your mental health. Sometimes you can go a long time without getting work. Sometimes you're not getting paid fairly. Sometimes you have to travel. You have to, miss your family, your loved ones, and things aren't stable at home, but you still need to go out and make a living. And people don't really, quite gel, and they don't understand everything that you all have to endure. So when it comes to mental health, it's like, well, what do I do with that? I may be feeling down. I may feel anxious. I don't know if this is going to work out. You really sometimes need the work, and you don't want to bring up these difficult conversations that really need to be had. And sometimes you don't have a manager or somebody to act on your behalf because you can't afford it, or either you can't trust someone. Like, the music business is just can be up and down like that. So the mental health is really important because you go through so many things, you don't know who you can talk to. And sometimes you don't have the insurance to even see anybody in mental health. These agencies don't offer mental health for their entertainers. There are no mental health people backstage when you're having a rough day or had a rough show. So there are a lot of different facets to take into consideration.
Yes. So knowing that it's been about 14 months since our venues closed, I want to know, what have you learned and grown within your craft? And what are you doing to ensure the next generation's collective progression? I'll go, YahZarah.
For myself, having been a stage performer pretty much all my life, um, being at home and having to recreate, reinvent how I give my gift to others was at first really daunting. What was really dope though is that technology decided to catch up with us while we were all sitting at home trying to figure that out. And I've got a lovely yard sale full of, pardon my French, shit that I am eager to sell or give away before I found the right things to be able to provide what I feel is my ministry of music to others. I couldn't just sing on a live with a speaker behind me and feel okay about that, and that comes from a singer's tradition. And having been in the business now, I put my first record out 20 years ago this month, and having been in the business as long as I have, I've seen it change all the time. But I've never seen such an active renaissance take place than what has taken place within the last 14 months. We have seen signed artists lose their minds because they couldn't necessarily adapt. We've seen artists who
Oh,
Uh-oh, got a little laggy.
well, a little laggy.
Might be that monsoon.
Hold on, YahZarah.
Your
Okay.
audio dropped out, YahZarah. We
The
can't hear you.
audio dropped out.
Hey, you back? I think.
You got AirPods?
Okay.
Something like your microphone died or something. Yeah, like we can hear you very low.
Yeah, the connection is a little
Or you
slow.
can
Yeah,
hear
I
us.
know that there's a storm right now over Brooklyn, New
Mm-hmm.
York. Um, but don't go nowhere. So I just want to throw
not
it now
yet.
to. Are we good? All good.
Are we? Are we good?
Yes.
We good.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay.
Yep.
Thank
We're
you.
good.
All right. So I'm trying to think where I was. Okay. If anything, we've learned how to level up. And we've been able to show all the younger artists around us that despite the actual craziness of the times, that we can continue to reinvent how we give this thing called entertainment to other people. I've literally seen so many artists completely reinvent how they wield their gifts. It's caused me, a person who thinks of themselves as a veteran, to rethink how I give myself to others. But also as an independent, I've always had a relationship with my fans as well. And that's what's kept me afloat. Because I know birthdays, I know who had a baby on Instagram. I constantly, I follow everybody, almost everybody who follows me, and I become interested, an interested party in their story just as much as they're interested in myself, which is why they still buy the records, which is why they supported my digital release. And sometimes they inbox me and tell me how I should be reinventing. And I think that's because this time has created an opportunity for artists who decided to do so, to create relationships with their listeners and not just be, pardon me, hold up, hood sounds, pardon, not just be consumed BK all day, y'all. My bad. Hold up.
All
It's
right, let me
okay.
get up.
They might
Okay.
catch
No,
you
I'm
this
sorry.
time, so
Bus
watch out.
ran into a limestone building around my neighborhood yesterday, and it's been wild ever since. So what I'm realizing is that each generation has a defining moment that allows them to figure out how they give their gifts to the world, right?
Yes.
And we've had ours. This has been our Chernobyl, our Spanish flu, our whatever. And from those things have birthed all these amazing new ways to give our gifts. Now, on the other side of that, the mental health side of it is many of us have not been at home with our families before. That's been interesting for some of us. Many of us have never known what it's like to sit still. And I liken the first couple of weeks I had at home during the pandemic to Napoleon Dynamite's uncle sitting in the backyard throwing the football to himself and creating highlights because he was trying to relive this thing back there. You know, so I was going through all the old videos saying, like, well, I remember when we did that or when we performed here. And so I think what we are gathering is a newfound respect for musicianship, for the stage, for the things and the people that we love, and a new way to give it.
Yep.
Yes.
If y'all didn't hear any of that.
Yes.
Yes, we
Yeah.
did.
Years. I mean,
Calvin,
I would say one of the biggest things that I learned was, well, what was the question again? Because I want to make sure I hit all the points.
what have you learned and grown within your craft, and what are you doing to ensure the next generation's collective progression?
So I think one of the things that I really took a big thing to learn was like marketing and advertising as far as like music goes. I realized a little while ago, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I think I started asking people like, hold up, how do people like make real money in music? Like real money? Like I was around a lot of musicians and artists and everything. And I started just asking them this question and not a lot of people knew. And that was really annoying to me because I didn't fully know. I kind of knew, I had an idea, but I was like, well, that's not really good enough. So I just started doing a lot of research, and one of the big things is like, hey, you have to develop a relationship with your audience. Like, whether it's going to be a big, a record label doing it for you or you doing it by yourself and growing that thing, it's still a relationship and building that. So I like took these different marketing courses on how to actually get my music out there, but not just get myself out there, but to really develop a relationship and build fans. Because the thing is, like, not everybody is your fan. So if I put out, some music and it just goes to everybody, that's cool. But everybody don't like me. Heck, everybody don't like me, Beyonce or Michael Jackson. So that's fine. So it's really like figuring out, and I ended up having to do all this course stuff on how to work Facebook, how to work Instagram, and how to like target people who have a high chance of actually liking the stuff that I'm doing. And then getting in front of them and keeping that relationship moving and growing so that when they see stuff, they're like, oh, yeah, wow, they see the progress. As far as like in the last 14 months, the biggest thing I've been doing as far as the next generation is, raising my daughter and like being with her and everything. But one of the things I would say in general that I love is there's this organization that I get to help out with in Los Angeles from time to time called Engage Division, which actually goes into schools. And so, I'm from Detroit, right? And I came all the way out to LA for entertainment. And so it's always would freak me out when I would see like little black kids like doing stuff in the streets and doing whatever. I'm like, bro, you live 5 miles from where they're making billions of dollars. You ain't got to be in front of the camera. You could be a grip, a gaffer, lighting, electric, whatever. You could just do something and get in. So a lot of just men who have been accomplished in the industry, we go and just meet with them like once a week for like 1.5 hours. And you can see their grades come up, their attendance come up, their behavior improve, just because a lot of them don't have like positive black male influence on them, or somebody holding them accountable. I mean, like, yo, what's up? We're saying that you messing up a class. What's good? And it's a group of men that they done seen half of us on TV, so they like, okay, well, hold up. So that's one of the most important things for me because it's like, oh, you see a direct difference based on us just showing up. Literally just showing. We're not doing anything really deep. We're meeting, doing little, team building activities and whatnot. But like it's great just actually being able to see results from just showing up, So I encourage, if anybody engaged the vision, the founder Vince Allen is all over Instagram. They're out in LA and they're expanding to other cities as well. So I'm looking forward to being a part of that now.
Yes. So, Michael John, I want to ask you, what have you done to take care of your mental health?
I've been riding my bike.
Amen.
I've really been taking a minute away. And actually, it's funny. It's kind of turned into a gig too. I have a steak body truck, which is kind of keeping the lights on during COVID. I have the steak body truck. YahZarah is kind of like a carnival truck, Eastern Parkway, and we got a sound system on it, banners, and we take this thing out, and we have like a caravan of bikers that ride behind us. But on top of that, I just ride, and it allows me to kind of get away from things. I mean, granted, when you run a business, your mind is always on your business, but doing that, and honestly, the church that I'm engineering at, although I'm giving 10% of my time, and I'm working there as well, but just kind of being in the house of the Lord and just having the Spirit around you, and the fellowship between that and biking really has allowed me to kind of keep a focus, during this time, because I mean, we've all took a serious hit. Like YahZarah said, you had to figure out how to reinvent yourself. And I'll say with COVID, I mean, YahZarah, you were saying, technology has caught up with us, but now with the advent of the playlist, people feel like they don't need a DJ. It is the most frustrating thing. That, Mike, can you put together a playlist for me? First of all, I don't do playlists, bro. I do mixes. So I can do a mix for you, and it's going to cost you about as much as it will for me to DJ, because I still got to mix this thing together for 4 hours. You know what I'm saying? But people don't see the value in a DJ, when they did at one point. Now, granted, if you don't have a DJ and you put together a playlist and it's horrible, you'll realize the value after the fact. But, beforehand, you tell somebody whatever you want, they were like, well, I was having my cousin Eddie. He got a laptop this, for Christmas. He a DJ now. It is extremely frustrating to be in that space. So I'm blessed to be able to, as a DJ, be one of the guys who could also, can mix, can engineer, can record a record, can install a sound system in a venue. I've put together a system in a very reputable restaurant here. I've done mosques, I've done churches in COVID. So I think we've all been able to find ways to shift, but the things that we traditionally, were our backbone, those things are tough, and while we may be able to do spot dates and do online things, none of us will be on a legit tour for a long time. And then even when that comes back around, what does a tour look like now with COVID?
Right.
You go into Detroit and people got masks on, but you go into Dallas and people run around like COVID didn't exist, So how do the protocols change from city to city? Do you just do, down south tours? Then you do a northern thing. Like it's, then for those of us who've had or not had the vaccination, then it's like, well, when I go to this country, do I need to be vaccinated? When I go to this city, do I need not to be vaccinated? Doesn't matter. Do they care? So there's still some big things that we are not quite, we're not quite over that hump yet. Even though we're working, there are things that we're not quite ready to. What's the word I'm looking for? We're not quite at a point where we're completely over the pandemic, if you will.
Yeah.
I understand. So you touched on something. Please. Go ahead,
I
y'all.
was gonna say I've also been talking to other artists and singers, musicians, but namely singers who have been getting calls now that their bread and butter boss is not going to take out background. Who now is going to run their vocals on a trigger because they have to downsize, because the clubs and the venues that they play in also have to downsize. So we haven't even begun to see the actual economic impact to tour support yet, because it's actually in progress.
That's a thing.
And it's coming.
So since you touched on that, I want to know, like, how are you guys feeling about the return, and or what are you looking forward to within the industry as far as coming back. I know some tours are scheduled for later on this year. I know I've gotten some dates for the fall. I think, Calvin, you mentioned Coachella. The tickets went up for next year. So how are you guys really feeling? And I mean, be honest. Like, if you're anxious, let us know, because that's real.
I'll be honest. I'm very anxious, not in a bad way. I try not to use the word anxious because I feel like it stems from anxiety, and I'm not like that. But I'm looking forward to it, and I'm like, man, yeah, I did get my Coachella concert. I had to repent for a whole bunch of concerts or performances that I could have went to that I was just too lazy or I was being too. I don't need to see that. Now I'm like, dang, I should have really went to that show, man. That probably was. I would have had fun. Now look at me, looking at my wall for the 1800th day in a row. Wow, you know. Yeah, sure, I didn't have enough money for that ticket, but I've been broke before. It didn't kill me. I could have went to that show.
I wanted to go to
yeah,
Burning Man.
right? Like, y'all about to see me. Oh, I got a babysitter on lock. Oh, we good. Y'all about to see. But also, like, as a performer, I'm already talking to different like touring managers and everything like that, because they're like, okay, I'm not at the point where I can like have my own thing yet, but I'm like doing a lot of tour support and opening up for people. So I've been having conversations and doing that, and that's exciting because, you know, just getting out and performing, period, is like, oh my God. Now that I'm like itching because I've done so many little, you know, online shows. I hate them. I don't want to. I want to hear people applaud. I want to, like, I'm very engaged in my audience and everything. So like looking into a screen and having to imagine the song and the audience is like, no, I'm not mad. I'm thankful for
It's
every
not the
show I've done.
same.
It's just not the same
Nah.
thing.
Yeah, the energy transfer is not the same.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
You know, it's very true. It's like, you know, I mean, not to sound like selfish, but you know, it is a reciprocation that we get used to having. I'm expanding this energy and I get this energy back from the audience. And even if, you know, I wasn't having the best night, that'll give me
you're
10,000 pounds
high.
of energy. So, you know, I do miss that quote unquote high from that. But as far as mental health, I didn't really say anything about that. Definitely exercise was helpful when I was able to do that. Reading, just doing different things like that, and also checking in on other people was helpful. I got rest for probably the first time in my life. Like I was like, "Oh, this is rest! Wow, that's woo!" Like I remember I did nothing for 3 days in a row, and I could not believe it. I was terrified the first 2 days. I was like, "Man, like hold up, I've never not done anything." But this kind of understanding that we are at a specific moment in time, being self-aware about how that's affecting you, talking to therapists. You know, I'm a big advocate of that. Like, you know, we don't like, yes, I'm a Christian. I love church. But what do they say? In the multitude of counselors, there is wisdom. It's not like this Jesus or counselors or therapy. It's like, no, they can work together. It's perfectly fine. And being open to that and, you know, encouraging my friends to also go to therapy and whatnot. We are living through something that's like, I know people that lost a lot of family members. That's not normal. So, you know, actually dealing with that, figuring stuff out, that's been helpful, you know.
Okay. YahZarah, what have you done to take care of your mental health?
Therapy was instrumental in getting me through the first couple of months. I still am continuing it for lots of other things. I think when you're sitting down, you have a chance to actually figure out what you got rid of. They call it shadow work. That's the new term. What you actually thought you got rid of and were free from, and then you figure out also what you buried. And I think for a lot of musicians, us being on the road is a really great panacea, right? We're there. We're there with all of our road family, which is like being at a wake camp for grown-ups, and you don't really get to handle certain things. But sitting home forces us, in essence, to face ourselves. So I took that time. I was also homeschooling an active 8-year-old at the time, so there was also some day drinking taking place at first. And
Real
People
talk.
strangling everybody. But most importantly, just creating and also reconnecting with people who I had missed out on because I had been on the road. Godchildren who had grown up and gotten big and only knew me through gifts and occasional drop-ins. Now I actually got the chance to put my mask on and be with them and experience them. My son, who had been living with his father, was actually visiting us for spring break when the world shut down. So he ended up doing independent study at my house with me for the rest of the school year and staying throughout the summer. And it was wonderful to be able to spend that quality time pouring into my son because I've been on the road for 7 years. And so we switched places so that he could have the consistency that he needed. And many of us artists have made those type of sacrifices in time. So much so that sometimes I call some of my friends and they're like, I don't really know if I want to go back to the road now. I didn't know that I was missing so much.
Yeah, how about that?
You
Yeah,
know, and
I've heard
also
that
every
too.
time I know, like, I can't wait to get away from all these people.
Mhm.
It all depends. But for me, being around my family has been such a positive experience for me. Having a chance to release a new rep project that I've been sitting on and would never have had the time to develop during the pandemic. My first record in 10 years because I've been giving so much of myself to other artists. I was able to decide fully upon my retirement from background singing and lean into myself. And yeah, lean into films and the other things that I'm interested in doing. I start a philanthropic arm out of my house for artists. So now I have artist residencies happening out of my home. So where the art's not happening elsewhere, I'm creating the art around me, but also assisting it in being. And that and I'm getting booked now. The bookings are coming, and that's super exciting. But I'm actually really grateful for the time that I had to sit still to do emotional, artistic, and personal self-development.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, I want to know, what advice do you all have for your peers, for all of us, when it comes to your mental health, being on the road, being in the industry as a whole? From what you've seen, what advice would you give to your peers, especially for their mental health and well-being? Michael John.
Um, I would say don't be afraid to say no.
Ooh,
And
that's a
now,
good one.
let me say this
That's
to
the
all of
word right
us.
there.
There's a certain level, YahZarah, you touched on it, Calvin, you touched on it. There's a certain level of fear that comes with saying no to something that could be an opportunity or your next check or your next meal. But we just saw, Naomi do it recently. Sometimes you have to jump out there and say no for your own mental health, or if it doesn't feel right, or the vibe is funny, or the energy is shaky. Sometimes you just got to say no and know that God is going to provide, and that what is for you is for you. So even if you say no now, if it's supposed to be your thing, it might come back around, and then you really get that thing at the time you're supposed to have it. But I think that in our industry, like you said, Yaza, with so many, they make us feel like we're replaceable. Like, I can't get this person. Well, I mean, you ain't got to do it, dog. I get somebody else to do it. Well, get somebody else to do it then. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we have to stand firm on our abilities and in our faith to know that we're not replaceable, we're not exchangeable, and that who you are is who you are. I don't know another YahZarah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and YahZarah and I have done a lot of things, and I mean, we talking from me playing her records on the radio to doing little coffee house cafe joints, whatever, with Kenisha, and into me playing her records. Um, you know, it's an amazing thing to say that some artists are friends, and you got a relationship. Um, so I say that to say that I've seen her grow from a fan, and seeing her grow in person, done shows in person, things of that nature. So what God has, for her is what He has for her, no matter how long the journey is. The same thing with Calvin. You know what I'm saying? So whatever the journey, and even with me, like having worked with certain artists, and um, you know, and to touch on something you were talking about, YahZarah, you're talking about unions. Engineers get fired a whole lot. Trust me when I tell you. Engineers get canned all the time. Noelle, you know it. You'll be out with somebody, and then you and the marketing engineer be talking, and the front of house guys, nah, they done got somebody else new in there, and the stems are bad, and then you like he gonna get fired tomorrow too because the dude in the studio got the stems levels crazy, and now he got to deal with bad stems. You know what I'm saying? And the production manager's like, I don't know this dude. I'm gonna bring my man in.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean DJs not so much because if you can your DJ, your whole show might be wrecked. But with DJs, depending upon who the music the MD is, the MD may hate DJs, and they're like, we're gonna bring a whole band in. DJ, you suck. Or they like, we don't need a DJ. We're gonna play a track from front of house. Not understanding. So let me say this, and not to go too far to the left, but when I first went out with Raheem, 20 years ago, Pete Kuzma was his MD, and Calvin, I don't know if you know who Pete is, y'all, but of course you know who Pete is. And Pete started off in the Jazzy Jeff camp, and his apex was probably like the Kanye camp. But Pete has done records for Jill Scott, Raheem, a bunch of people, Kanye, whatever. And Pete, coming from the Jazzy Jeff, from the Touch of Jazz camp, understood how important the DJ was to have a live performance. The DJ is important even with R&B and soul music because the DJ, really is the glue to a great extent, almost what a drummer would be, you know what I'm saying, or a rhythm section would be. A DJ can do all of that, and a DJ can MC. Let me tell you, when I was DJing, this was funny. I was doing monitors and DJing for CeeLo Green. Very odd situation. And CeeLo would lose his breath in between the records. So in him losing his breath, I would talk to the crowd, interact with the crowd, give him that space he needed just to breathe and grab water, and then we get to the next record. These things, provide continuity in the show, but these aren't things that you think about doing rehearsal. You're not thinking, yo, my man gonna lose his breath in the middle of that song. You know what I'm saying? Early in Jasmine's career, Jasmine, is to a great extent an introvert. So in between, when she was uncomfortable, I would be that buffer between her and the audience. So she wouldn't necessarily have to interact with the audience. I would interact with the audience. She would interact with me. These are things that you don't necessarily think about until you look at, things as they go along. Now, Jasmine, Super Bowl, at least when I was with Jasmine, 5 Grammy nominations, first album. So we talk about the matriculation and the growth. But again, you can't just say, yo, we're going to go front of house and run a track and lose that interaction, that connection with the audience. So when people understand how important you are and the role you play, Noelle, we're talking about the lighting and the emotion that the lighting brings. People don't think about that. And then when you have, a show that is televised, come on now. So these are the things we have to say, look at my track record, look at who I've helped and what we've done to get that person to that level, and be able to be like, nah, I'm not doing it. I'm gonna stay home and chill. And when there's something that's worth me going out, I'm gonna go out. But in the meantime, if I gotta stay home, and do this or do that or whatever, in the meantime, until the next right thing comes, being able to say we've done a bunch of the wrong things, now we can say we done sat down for 14 months and know what it is to know what's valuable enough to leave the house.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
No,
Most
for real.
definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. So we've got another like almost 10 minutes. I want to get a final word from everyone, and really I want you to elaborate, like, what are you looking forward to? I know we were saying things that we didn't like, and what we wanted to change, but what are you looking forward to? Even if it's, those 10 seconds between house out and I hit the stage and the first thing. Those moments are golden. So, YahZarah?
Oh, wow. I'm so excited about singing to people again. I can't lie. And the energy that I get when I open up my chest and somebody else in the audience is opening up theirs with me and receiving the music that I'm giving them. I'm super excited. I actually do my first performance on my birthday this year. I do 2 shows.
Awesome.
Usually some people say, how are you working on your birthday? But music is my happy place. Performance is my happy space.
I do the same
and
thing.
looking out into an audience and seeing a bunch of really excited, happy, healing people. And it's because of the gifts coming through me are exciting. I'm looking forward to filming in a starring role in my first film in September and flying to Cairo,
Hey,
Egypt, and going to Tanzania and doing that and doing more sync work, having my voice behind more
Amazing.
commercials, which is one of the things I learned during this pandemic. Go and get
Mm,
that mailbox money.
money.
And also the work I'm doing, listen, bro, and the philanthropic work I'm doing through art with my foundation, Sunspot Studios, which also we have a location in Baltimore. We have our 16 in Victorian here in Brooklyn, and we're looking at a site in South Africa. So that's what I'm looking for: expand art all over the diaspora, not only for myself but for everybody I love and know.
Okay, Calvin.
no, that was a lot. And congratulations, first off, on getting that mailbox money. Because, yeah, sync and acting, and I do a ton of voiceover. Let me tell you, woo, that
I got to
acting
talk
money
to you.
can.
Please hook me up.
No, yeah, no, seriously. So I do a ton of voiceover. Please reach out to me. I'm actually doing another class at the end of this month and whatnot because I just do so much of it. And my friends were like, "Yo, you should teach a class." And at first I was like, "No," but then I
I
started.
will
And
be there.
no, for real, please hit me up. It's
Me
dope.
three. Me three. Hit
Yeah.
me up.
Might be there
So
too.
Yeah,
hey,
me
no,
too.
please, I'm not joking. Like, hit me up. But no, I'm really looking forward to performing. I'm not going front, but also, actually, it's been a while since I've like released a body of music. I did this tour. My first tour was like a tour through Europe. God knows what reason. I did all these like small dates through Europe, which was horrible, but beautiful too at the same time. It was just so tiring. But like I have so much music, new music now that I'm about to release and then go and tour that. And of course, opening up for people and just working up the chain and that. So it's great that I've like been building this team. Like right now, the last thing I'm like talking to several managers to see which one I'm going to go to for, next level of my career, which I'm looking forward to. Um, and I just got another acting manager, so we're going to be doing more work on that front. Uh, Hopefully, I'm able to do something to where it's like, a combination. Like I've been in a lot of projects where it was like music and film. Like I'm in that movie Whiplash, which is really cool. I'm the guy that gets shot at the top of This Is America, which is, kind of combination.
Pew pew.
Yeah, pew, pew. And Nashville. So I'm always doing these kind of things. I want to continue that. But and just to touch on the advice to, peers, I'll say one of the things that's been helpful for me is being okay with taking social media breaks. Like, don't
Yeah.
feel like you got to be on all the time. If you got to you could pre-program some stuff and then just be out for the week. Like, all right, I'm not really gonna, because it can drain you. And one of the biggest things I ever did was to learn that we're not regular people. So like if I see my friend who was an accountant with an 8-story house in Atlanta that he or whatever, okay, that's not my I've gotten to do and perform and do things that he never will. So like even if somebody is an artist, not comparing yourself, because it's like we all have our own thing, but especially not like I used to compare myself to people who had like regular jobs, and I'm like, why am I doing this? This is weird. They're not in movies. I am. They're not performing in Paris. I am. So why am I now comparing? Or even if somebody is though, comparison is just a thief of joy. So don't do that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to all of that, y'all.
Michael
The last
John.
one was a word, Calvin. Thank you.
I'm glad. Thank you.
To piggyback on what Calvin said, and I meant to say this earlier, he mentioned turning off social media, turning off the television. I'm not like a super TV watcher, but news, man, you
Oh,
watch the amount of COVID cases, and of course we know that they be lying, they be lying. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's truth in it, but you also have to, do deeper research. But again, if you sit and watch, the news all day and television all day, you will just be depressed on a whole new level that you didn't even know that, you could attain that depth of depression. Believing all the things that you're told. So turn that off. But I'm looking forward to festivals coming back and
yes.
you know, outdoor festivals. Let me say that. So I don't like I do Essence every year. I DJ for McDonald's usually every year for Essence,
Ooh.
and I don't know how that would have been. And I also did a CIAA right before COVID hit. So I swear I had COVID, before COVID was COVID, because you just, with so many people, YahZarah, CIAA, that, you went to school out that way. Um, and I just swear it was just so much touch and hug and DJ, let me get a picture with you, you know. So I'm just looking forward to interacting with people, from a safe distance. I still wear my mask. I'm still, I don't know these people. They be lying about their shots. You know
They
what
do.
I mean? Um, but I'm certainly interested from a production standpoint, wanting to get out and enjoy. And we got a couple of things coming up down here in the DMV area, DC and Baltimore area, a bunch of festivals and just DJing. Um, I just can't wait to get those calls like, Mike, we doing this award show and we flying you out. I got a call a couple of months ago, like, Mike, it's about that time, but it's gonna be virtual. I was like, I knew when I got the call, I was like, I'm about to go out. Like, we out. Like, nah, you staying home, bro. Just, you know what I mean? Just have a nice background behind you. Like, I'm like, God, I thought I was gonna go out. So I'm just looking forward to being able to travel. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's going to be different for a while. I think it's going to be limited. Certain places, you may do an Australia run and then you come home and, you ain't doing nothing, or you're doing spot dates. I think it's going to be a lot of spot dates. You know what I'm saying? Calvin, YahZarah, I think it's going to be a lot of spot dates.
Yeah.
Do 2 days, fly home, be home for 3 weeks. I think it's going to be a lot of that. And then it's going to be weird. Like I said, you go to Texas and it's going to be real regular and it's going to make you uncomfortable, right? And then you come to New York and it's like, all right, this is how it should be. Safe, people are distance, the venues 50%, 75%, whatever. But you go to Birmingham, it's popping. You know what I'm saying?
It's on.
So
It
yeah,
is.
it's Donkey Kong is on. So
We
I
have to
think
wait.
that
They didn't have COVID and I'm not over there.
I'm not looking forward to none of that. I'm looking forward to being able to have my hand sanitizer, play my records, and then go back, to the dressing room and go to the hotel, or being able to mix and then break down and have the barricades like, yo, what's up, man? How you been? Yo, you good? I need that. You know what's funny? And Yasmin, you might feel me on this one. I realized through the pandemic, I was already practicing social distancing before it. Like now that he put a name to it, I was like, I was already like this. I never really wanted to be
I've been
this
about
close to
this
people.
life.
This is what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm at the gas station, like, dude, like about 5 feet away from me. I just need to add one more foot, and it'd have been social distancing. You know what I'm saying? Like I was already kind of like, yo, why is he on my back? I don't know this dude. Like, why is he? So I think that a lot of us will realize how dirty we already, how dirty things are and how dirty we were. And we'll move with a different level of
Can't.
cleanliness and sanitation. I mean, think about like as a DJ, I lick my fingers and then scratch a record. That's dirty. Or if I'm mixing on a house console, same thing as you, Noel,
Yep.
and you get on that console. How many people have touched that console and they ain't wipe the console down? I mean, wipe it down, wipe like disinfect it. You know what I'm saying? Or YahZarah, you get on a microphone and it's not your capsule or it's not your microphone, and you singing on somebody else's mic, and
And
it's
it's
I
germ
bring my
tank.
own mic, homie. Bring
Yeah,
my own
I
mic.
bring my own mic, man. I don't
Yeah,
play that.
yeah.
I already
See,
know.
yeah, exactly. But it took it. We didn't start off like that. He didn't
Nope.
start off on that level of, oh, let me bring my own record, bring my own mic or bring, my own ears, not ears, but even your pack.
Yeah.
Think about the
Y'all
pack they
sharing
give
in
you, and you
ears?
gotta hey,
in
no,
here.
not ears, but no, the pack, your pack.
Dang.
But still,
Oh,
see, your production matches to wipe your pack down. You know what I'm saying?
oh, that's
So
true. That's
yeah,
actually
because
true.
you sprint,
Second
yeah, you
class
you doing
software.
this on the volume of your pack and touching your face. It's the same thing.
That's
So
true.
I think that cleanliness is next level, but I think that when we have the opportunity to go out and it's a safe opportunity, it's an opportunity to make sense. That's what I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to going out.
Thank
Awesome.
you for
And
touching on
Miss
that, Michael.
Miesha.
Yes. So what I'm looking forward to, so I don't know if you all know or not, but I have an extensive background in the entertainment industry. I've worked with a lot of artists. I worked with Universal Island Def Jam. I did a lot of stuff in the DMV. Um, so I am actually looking forward to being able to mix the two and really being an advocate and helping people in the music industry get back to normalcy. Because even though the world is going to open back up, people are still going to be dealing with the pandemic and what happened during that time. Just because the touring and all that stuff is going to go back in, and you still have your mental stuff, to kind of deal with and work out. And I'm really hoping that at some point, these agencies and these companies will really take mental health seriously and have people on site or either offer mental health for their artists and for people that are doing all of this work and backstage and things like that, because your people are going to be going through stuff still.
No, for real.
Yes.
And also some drug counselors as well, because there's a lot of drugs that happens on some of these tours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the one great thing is that I'm actually trained in substance use and mental health. So I work with people who have co-occurring substance use and mental health disorders. So I can do, either or. So I'm really hoping, and I'm telling you, when I was working in the music industry, I already know all of the stuff that goes on, behind the scenes. And I've worked in production and worked backstage doing backstage. What was it, BET Soundstage concerts in DC when they had that show. I was part of the UMVD team in DC, Maryland, Virginia. So trust me, I've seen a lot.
So what
It's funny you
advice
say that,
would,
Miesha. I'm sorry,
okay.
not to cut you off, Noelle, but it's funny you say that because in black music, drugs are not as out front, if you will. I mean, yeah, you got your scissor and you got your weed, whatever, but you don't have your powder and your heroin and all that like the white artists or the white
Those pop
touring
dollars,
industry.
boy.
But it's popping in our
Yeah,
community. It's definitely and
yeah.
especially Calvin. You already know in LA, bro. You already
Oh yeah.
know
Oh
in
man, I'd
LA.
be like, y'all just gonna do that in front of me?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I didn't
Yeah,
know,
you lose
man. I
respect for
didn't
people
know
like that. You be
till
like,
I
wow,
seen
that's how
it.
you cope? That's what you doing out there? I'm
Yeah.
drinking a Red Bull. You
That's
doing
what
a
you do.
whole set of lines out here. You
Right.
know what
Like,
I'm saying?
Yep.
sir, I'm just taking a caffeine pill once a week. What are you doing? Help
Right.
me.
Like that's Adderall or that's dope. What is that? Like I
Like,
don't know.
I
Like
know.
I've
so
seen
yeah,
people so
Maisha.
zoned out.
Yeah,
Anxiety,
it's
work performance anxiety, that they're doing drugs before they get on
Right.
stage. The
Yep.
dancers,
Right.
even some of the techs to stay awake when they're doing all these long nights, and like you just don't
Yeah.
know who is
Right.
doing what. But until I got on these larger tours, where thank God most of my tours with God bless black tours and soul tours, and on my tours, most of my people, as far as I know, are drug free. But when you get into that pop dollars, that $500,000 show cats, those 1 million to leave, those cast of 40 people shows,
Yeah.
there are a lot of people going through a lot of things, a lot of turmoil, and doing a lot of drugs to get through.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I'm lucky. I was a grown up on these tours, but my God, there are a lot of young people who need spaces and places to talk about their fears and their anxieties while on the road.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
absolutely, man. It's just
So
we've seen so much stuff. Like I always tell people, like, look, man, Robin Williams was really funny. You might not be as funny as him though, and
Right.
his fame and success wasn't enough. Like
Right.
Michael Jackson, you might be not be as good as him, and
Yeah.
fame wasn't enough. It's like so being aware of self-awareness and your mental health is not like a thing. Like me, the best thing that happened to me, I was scared of drugs. I was legit scared. I'm like, all those little programs they made for kids, they worked on me. I was terrified. I'm like, I'm about to be cracked out. Hell no, I'm good. Y'all can keep that. But I understand it, like not everybody has that, same background and whatnot. So, but I already know myself. It's like I have an addictive personality. So if I try something and like it,
it's
guess
over with.
what? I'm gonna be
And
in
you know what,
somebody's
Calvin?
alley. Like,
It's
That
more than
alone kept me
it's
from
more than just drugs too. Like YahZarah, you touched on the drinking.
yeah,
Sometimes it's not even illegal drugs per se. Some people they
Yep.
just turn straight alcoholics on the road. You know what I'm saying?
no,
And that's not something you can come home and turn off.
yo, for
So
real.
and I don't drink. I don't even drink soda or milk or nothing. I'm one of them kind of guys, but we kind of earthy, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
When I fall
I
off the
look at
wagon
people
for
like,
bacon, baby, don't hit me.
no, oh
Yeah.
yeah, now do your thing,
The swine is fine.
I don't. It's fine. I do
Girl, keep
turkey,
that pork
but
on your fork.
keep the pork on your fork. I haven't had pork in 20 years, but people sliding in, they hit you with a little bit of Brussels sprouts and be like, yo, well, we cooked it in bacon grease. We be like,
Dang.
that's why this tastes amazing. That's why it's the grease. Okay,
all right,
but
like this was so great. But we have come to our time.
Aw.
No.
It's okay though, because everyone can come back. We have the next week. for our next latest episode. But I wanted to thank you all again for not only your time, but your insight. And as well to all of you that are watching, I want everyone to stay safe and be sure to follow, like, and subscribe to the What's Up Roadie YouTube page and the Facebook page, as well as we also have Instagram. And you can follow those for more up-to-date information on our upcoming discussions. You can join us next week for live concerts and events, artists, musicians, and producers. Part 1, we are continuing the conversation about equity within our industry. And for the Clubhouse members, we'll be having our weekly Clubhouse room, and everyone is invited. You can join us tomorrow and every Wednesday for Roadie Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on Clubhouse's official What's Up Roadie recap room. And you can follow us on the platform for more info at What's Up Roadie. So YahZarah, Calvin, Michael John, and Miesha, thank you all. And peace.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Peace, y'all. Have a great one.
Bye.
So how you doing? So how you doing? What's Up Roadie was created as a safe space for the 12 million strong live entertainment and theatrical professionals.